Hi, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be making buffalo chicken. And if I'm being honest, this is probably the easiest recipe that I make and the recipe that I get the most compliments on when I make it for other people. It's ridiculously clean and very, very easy. There are a few things that I tweak that add extra flavor to it, but really it's no extra ingredients. It's just the way that you're cooking it. So I hope you enjoy it, and it's hard for me to share this just because it's usually something I keep private. It's so easy, it's embarrassing. Okay, here are our two ingredients: chicken breasts and Frank's Red Hot buffalo wing sauce. If we look at the nutritional content on the buffalo wing sauce, this is the most important thing to do when you're buying something like this. You want to make sure that there's no added sugars to it, and that, like, this one has 0 calories. There's going to be a lot of buffalo wing sauces out there that they put a bunch of butter in, and the calories are going to be 20, 30, 40, 50 per serving. So this is a great, great, great product. It's one of my best finds being on a diet. We are going to just slice this chicken really finely, but before we put it on your hot skillet, you want to make sure that your skillet is hot. You want to blot it down. You want as much water out of that chicken breast as possible. And the reason for that is once we put the wing sauce on it, we want that wing sauce to caramelize and almost burn a little bit. It gives it a much better flavor. So make sure that your chicken breasts are not frozen. You want to make sure they're thawed so that there's not a lot of added water in there. So we're heating up this skillet to make it nice and warm. It does have some nonstick spray on it. I have it on high heat right now. Our chicken is going to be about this size. And I've blotted it all dry. There's still going to be some water in it, and we're going to blot it midway through the cooking process. One thing that you want to keep in mind for this specific recipe, you want the chicken to just be in a single layer on the pan, because you really need each piece to have the hot wing sauce on it and to caramelize. So let me get this chicken on here. Okay, right now I have all that chicken in the pan, in the hot pan, and I'm just letting it stir fry for a few minutes. You're going to see after it stir fries for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, some of that water is going to get released that's in the chicken. What I do then is I take another paper towel and I blot it again. In the meantime, while that's cooking, I did want to mention, if you're following the diet, at this point you are probably sick of cooking. Because when you're dieting, what you really have to do is cook every single one of your meals. It's really hard to go out to a restaurant and know what they're putting in your food. So when you're cooking it at home, you know, well, I didn't add any extra butter. I didn't add any extra sugar. There's a reason why things taste pretty good in restaurants. And normally that's because they add things like, to a steak, they're going to add a ton of butter. Not that a steak doesn't taste delicious at home as well, but you know that if you're cooking the steak at home, you don't need to add that extra butter. At the restaurant, they're just going to do it. So when you are cooking, because it is a lot of cooking, I do big batches. When you cook something like this, where you need the chicken on a flat surface, all touching the skillet, just use 2 skillets, and then you can freeze half of it. The chicken actually freezes quite well. The ground turkey freezes quite well. So if cooking and time management is an issue, just make double batches of everything that you're cooking and you can freeze it. Now, as you can see, I have the slightest hint of color on that chicken. I've just turned it over, and I'm just going to blot all around. Make sure you're getting as much of that liquid up as possible because you want it as dry as possible. Blot, blot, blot. And now we're going to add the Red Hot. How much should you put in here? A good couple tablespoons. You want it to cover the chicken completely and get it all mixed around in there. Now, once you have the chicken completely covered in the Red Hot sauce, you are going to keep it on high heat and you're going to let it sit. This isn't quite as much as I want. Now, if you have a lot of water in your chicken still, this process is going to take a long time and leave you with pretty dry chicken. So like I said, you want to try to get all that excess water out of there first. All right, so get it nice and coated and covered. Spread it out on that pan, and now we're just going to let it sit and boil. Let's see. I'm guessing we're going to let it sit like this for about 5 minutes. It has been exactly 5 minutes, and as you can see, a lot of that liquid has condensed down, and it's boiling pretty good now. Now we can stir it. We're just going to stir it once. Get it all mixed up. You want to scrape the bottom of your pan. Make sure that you're getting all those little bits up. And we're going to, this is the important part, spread it out again. And if you have one of these, it will help because now it's going to start squirting everywhere, little pellets of buffalo wing sauce because it's pretty hot. But we're going to let it sit for another about 4 to 5 minutes. The hardest thing about this recipe is just sitting and not touching it. When you touch it, you're going to mess up the way it tastes at the end. So really just let it sit. As it's cooking, one other tip. Because we are using a very spicy sauce, you might want to use your vent above your stove because it can get to your nose a little bit. I really like the smell, but if you're using the extra hot buffalo wing sauce, it actually almost creates like a pepper spray. So be wary of that because we are letting it almost blacken on the pan. It is going to affect your nasal region a bit. Okay, now I said 5 minutes. This is more about 3, but as you can see, it's starting to blacken a little bit and caramelize on the bottom. That is what we are looking for. And this is almost done. You want to still scrape up those bits on the bottom. This probably has about another minute to cook and then we're done. But you see how nice and blackened that is? Those parts are the delicious parts. Alright, just finished stirring it up. It looks like most of the liquid has evaporated. And it looks like it's done. So now we just turn it off. Voila! Now I portioned it out. Those 3 chicken breasts are roughly 3 meals. I don't use a food scale. When I first started eating clean and dieting years and years ago, I used a food scale for everything. So now I'm pretty aware of how big a portion is. If you were to condense all of it, about 4 ounces is going to be about the size of your fist. So just keep that in mind if you don't have a food scale on hand. Food scales, you can get them for as cheap as $5. Alright, well here goes. It's really good. It's really spicy. Usually when I eat it, I'm going to make a nice fresh salad. Cucumbers, tomatoes, maybe some green pepper, some balsamic vinegar and olive oil. Mix it all together. I think it's delicious. I hope you enjoy.